Good morning. Good morning. I am Serafina Monique, and we are continuing our 31 days of self love. We're continuing our 31 days of self love. Okay, so we are on day 12, you guys. This week we've been talking about setting boundaries, the importance of setting boundaries. Okay, so we've learned that setting boundaries are for your protection. Boundaries are there for your protection, and setting boundaries are a form of self-love. Okay, setting boundaries are a form of self-love. So on yesterday we talked about the three B's of setting boundaries. Okay, so there are 6 B's to setting boundaries. So we went over 3 yesterday. The 3 we went over on yesterday was be prepared. Okay, be prepared for your boundaries to be crossed. Okay, be prepared for them to be crossed. And when you prepare for something, you know how to react to it. So we're going to prepare for it so that we don't react off of impulse. Okay, be clear. Okay, be clear and concise. So that there's no confusion. Okay, be clear so that there's no confusion on those boundaries that you set. Okay, as well as be respectful. Okay, so whenever you are discussing your boundaries, whenever you are letting people know the boundaries that you have, you don't have to be overly aggressive. Okay, you don't have to be overly aggressive. You can talk in a nice, calm way and make eye contact and get your face right so that people will know that you're serious about this. You're serious about setting these boundaries. Okay, but you don't have to be aggressive. Okay, so the next 3 B's that we're going to go over today is be positive, be flexible, and be persistent. Okay, so be positive. Okay, so sometimes when we begin setting boundaries, it can be seem kind of intimidating to us. Okay, when we begin setting boundaries, um it may seem kind of intimidating for you to take a stance on your boundaries. Okay, but we have to realize that setting boundaries is not a negative thing, but we have been so conditioned to not setting boundaries. We haven't been setting boundaries, so we feel like whenever we set those boundaries, or whenever we stand up for ourselves, that I don't know, maybe we're going to make someone mad, or maybe someone won't like us, or maybe someone will leave us. Okay, so let me tell you this: the only people who will be intimidated, who will have a problem with you setting boundaries, are the people who benefited from you not having any boundaries. Okay, so I know we hear a lot to where people say people are using me for this, or using me for that. Okay, and maybe you feel that way because you haven't set boundaries in that area. Okay, and they feel like that's an area in which they can take advantage of you in. So once you begin setting boundaries in that area, um then they're no longer going to benefit from that. Okay, they're not going to benefit from you setting boundaries because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. But this new version of you wants to set boundaries. This new version of you has to set boundaries because you understand that it's for yourself. It's for your self-care. It's for your self-love. So you have to set boundaries. So if somebody is mad at your boundaries, at the boundaries you set, it may be someone who benefited from your lack of boundaries, because someone that values you, someone that respects you, is going to respect your boundaries. Okay, someone that values you as a person is going to respect those boundaries because they know that those boundaries are important to you. Okay, so they're going to respect you as a person. So coming into this, be positive. Be positive. Don't look at setting boundaries as a negative thing, okay? Not having boundaries, that's a negative thing. That's a bad thing, not having boundaries, because when you don't have boundaries, people will give you any and everything and you'll take it, okay? So, but we have to set those boundaries, okay? And release responsibility for how the person react, okay? So release any responsibilities for how somebody else may react to you setting boundaries. Again, this is a self-care. So I can't be worried about you being mad that I set some boundaries for myself, okay? Because I have to take care of me, and I can't. We're no longer people pleasing, okay? We're no longer people pleasing, you guys. So however you respond to my boundaries, however you feel about them, I mean, if the person is close enough to you, then maybe you can, well, we'll get into that next, to be flexible, okay? But again, those boundaries are for your protection. So again, if someone get upset about you setting boundaries, then maybe they benefited from you not having any, okay? So again, release your accountability for how a person may react, okay? So you guys, we do that to ourselves a lot. We do that to ourselves a lot, to where it's like, maybe we're scared to talk to this person about this and tell them this because we don't know how they're going to react. We don't know how they're going to react. We don't know how they're going to take it. And so sometimes especially if something hurt our feelings, sometimes we just sit on it. We just sit on it and we don't talk about it. We just sweep stuff under the rug because we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or we don't want to make the other person upset. All the while, you're having to deal with that. Okay, so going into things, you guys, you can't worry about other people's response. You can't worry about how you think they're going to respond. Okay, and most of the times you may just be in your head, okay? So if something about a person bothers you, make it known. Make it known. If something someone does bothers you, make it known. If someone hurts your feelings, make it known. Okay, so, and if you make it known and they don't take you seriously, or they brush it off, or they get mad or something, then maybe you need to rethink your relationship with that person. Okay, with those people. Maybe you need to rethink about the way you deal with those people. Okay, so again, if something hurts your feelings, if something makes you feel a certain type of way, go and talk to that person about it. Don't just sit on it and let it sit and fester. Okay, because it can only sit and fester for so long, because something else is going to come up, honey. And are you going to sit and fester on that? And then you're going to sit and fester on something else. And then something else comes, you're going to sit and fester on that until you get to the point to where you can't sit and let things fester anymore, and you're going to explode. Okay, and then you're going to be sitting there talking about stuff that happened months ago. So bring it up now. If something is bothering you, bring it up now. Bring it up now. Okay. And don't worry about how you think someone is going to respond. So how they respond is on them. Okay. You can only control how you respond. So take accountability for how you present things, or how you react, how you respond to things. Take accountability for how you present yourself. Okay. So, again, be confident and grounded in your worth, your purpose, and your present intentions. So know your worth, honey. Know your worth. So I'm going to set these boundaries because I know my worth. And I know that I deserve to be treated better, or I don't deserve to be, I deserve to have my boundaries. I don't deserve to have my boundaries lines crossed. Okay. So again, when someone respects your boundaries, that is showing that they value you as a person. Okay, so you want to feel valued. You want people to respect your boundaries. Okay, so and that comes with knowing your worth. Okay, know your worth so that you know what you don't deserve, and you're not going to put up with anything less than what you deserve. Okay, so and your purpose, you guys. Sometimes your purpose has to you have to have boundaries whenever you are walking in your purpose. Okay, you have to have boundaries with that, so you have to understand that, you know, no matter how someone may react, I still have to set these boundaries because of what the Lord has called me to do. I have to have boundaries in place. Okay, you have to have boundaries in place. Okay, and again, boundaries are there for your protection. Okay, okay, so and think again, be positive, and regardless of how the outcome is, regardless of how the other person views your boundaries, whether they respect them or not, it should make you feel good that you set those boundaries. Okay, it should make you feel good that you respected yourself enough to set those boundaries. But don't only set them, enforce them. Like, be willing to enforce the consequences of your boundaries. Okay, if they're crossed. Okay, so the next one is be flexible. Okay, so protect your boundaries without stubbornly ignoring the views of the other person. Okay, so this is especially with people who are close to you. So sometimes, you guys, we may get caught up in setting boundaries, and we forget the people around us. Okay, sometimes we forget the people around us. So although it is a self-love journey, like with setting boundaries, sometimes you have to take other people's needs into consideration, especially if you are in a relationship, or especially if you have children. So you have to you have to take the other people's needs into consideration. So if you take other people's needs into consideration. Don't just get caught up in the setting boundaries for me myself that you forget the people closest to you. Okay, so if they bring that to your attention, be flexible. Okay, be flexible. Don't just go in and be stubborn about it. Okay, don't just be stubborn. So actively listen to them, and maybe you guys can come to a mutual understanding. Okay, maybe you guys can come to a mutual understanding, but just respect each other. So it shouldn't be a screaming match. Okay, it shouldn't be a screaming match. Okay, but again, be flexible, set your boundaries. But if you have kids, if you have a spouse, if you're in a relationship, then some boundaries they have to you have to think about them as well. You have to think about your kids whenever you're setting boundaries. You may have to think about your spouse whenever you are setting boundaries. Okay, and if they come to you about a boundary that you have set, listen to them. Actively listen, and listen with try and listen with understanding. Okay, and be flexible. Don't just be stubborn and bullheaded. Okay, so the 6B is be persistent. Okay, be persistent. So sometimes people will constantly try and cross your boundaries. People will constantly try and cross your boundaries. Okay, so whenever this happens, it's important for you to be persistent, be consistent. Okay, it's important for you to stand firm on those boundaries. Okay, so you have to stand firm on your boundaries. So again, whenever we set boundaries, we're going to set it to, okay, something that they control and then something that you control. You're going to control the outcome. So if you yell at me, I'm going to hang up the phone. Okay, if you yell at me, I'm not going to talk to you. Okay, so they have the choice to yell at you or not. Okay, so either one is fine with you. So if they yell at you, that's fine. I'll hang up the phone. I won't communicate with you. Okay, so but we have to be persistent on that. So we can't have somebody that constantly cross our boundaries, and we just at some point, if somebody keeps yelling at you, honey, you may just I don't know, honey. If somebody keeps yelling at you and talking to you any and every kind of way, then I don't know. Maybe you should cut ties with them or something. I don't know. But whenever you set your boundaries, be persistent. Stand firm on those boundaries. Stand firm on those boundaries, okay? Because again, they're there for your protection. Boundaries are there for your protection. So if someone is constantly crossing your boundaries, then they may not respect you as a person. Okay, they may not respect you as a person, because if they valued you and if they respected you, then they're going to respect your boundaries, because your boundaries are important to you. Your boundaries are important when it comes to your self-care. Okay, so if they love you, if they value you, if they value that relationship with you, then they're going to respect your boundaries. Okay, but if they don't, you have to get to the point to where it's like, okay, maybe this person benefited from me not having any boundaries. Okay, but that's not going to make us take our boundary lines away. Okay, it's just going to make us stand firm on those boundaries. And don't allow someone to constantly cross your boundary lines, because eventually you're going to get upset and frustrated that they're doing it. And once that happens, you may become aggressive. Okay, they may lure you to act in the way that you've been trying to get away from. Okay, they may get a side of anger from you. They may get some impulsive behavior from you. Okay, so if someone is constantly crossing your boundaries, honey, boundary lines, I don't know, you may need to rethink that relationship with that person, or type of relationship that you have with that person. You may need to reconsider that, because again, if they're not respecting your boundaries, then maybe they're benefiting from you not having any. Okay, so that is it for today, you guys. So the 6 B's all together are: be prepared, be clear, be respectful, be positive, be flexible, and be persistent. Okay, so we are done with day 12, you guys. So day 13, day 13, we will do the reintroduction. We will reintroduce ourselves. Okay, we will reintroduce ourselves. So that is it for today, you guys. I am Seraphina Monique. You guys enjoy the rest of this day and be blessed and be a blessing.